And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, welcome back, Consumer Quarterback Show. Another day here, committed to being your consumer advocate, all about helping you understand your buying decisions, making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, online at consumerqb.com. Thanks so much for joining us, spending some time. And thank you to all of those who are supporting our show, supporting the local economy, reaching out and getting some really good feedback. Thanks so much for supporting the show. We greatly appreciate that. We've got a great lineup for you today. Linda Ward is going to be here in studio as well. She's the president and CEO of Gulfside Healthcare Services. And we also have Mark Hay making his debut as well to the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's got an MBA, 21st Century Financial Group here, corporate vice president. And also Jackson Shembekar, the crypto kid in the house. He's an author and he's a crypto expert. We're going to talk about this Miami Bitcoin what do we have down there, convention, and there's some interesting clips I've got here. We might play some of those clips as well. Jackson's going to break it down for us. What is crypto? How does crypto work? Going to be here on the show. Before we jump into that, we'll let you know about a couple of hot listings that we've got here in Tampa Bay. Beautiful listing at 14663 Village Glen Drive in Carrollwood. This is a great new listing from the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. We've got a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath property here. We got a beautiful pool. Got a screened-in pool, lanai area, as well as a spa. And the master bath has some pretty cool features. Jacuzzi tub, sauna, tanning bed, gourmet-style kitchen designed by a local restaurateur. Beautiful property in Carrollwood. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, quick shout out to Replenish IV Solutions. If you want to feel energized, hydrated, and replenished, reach out to our friends Steve and Elisa Gunnan over at Replenish IV Solutions. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers and incentives. But it's a safe and effective way to restore your body's systems with crucial vitamins and nutrients, enabling your body to perform at optimal conditions. Multiple Bay Area locations. Plus, you can also have them come to your home or your office, and that is awesome opportunity. Replenish IV Solutions. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we got Jackson Shembekar in the house, the crypto kid. Welcome in, man.
Great to be here, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on, and you know, crypto is emerging more and more as you know. It's used to be like, how long will it last? Will this go away? I mean, more and more people I keep hearing it's not going anywhere.
Absolutely, yeah. I was actually the other day in a car dealership, and I asked them if they accept the crypto. And they said, no, we don't, but we will in 2 weeks. And I started cracking up, and I was like, absolutely. I'm glad that more and more institutions are getting behind it. And it's really cementing the idea that absolutely it's not going away. It's here to stay. And the innovation is just continuing to build.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, at first I was skeptical, you know, and then now the more I get into like the politics side and I see what the corruption in D.C. and the federal government and the printing of money. I mean, these guys are literally counterfeiters up there, man. They're just printing money. They're watering down our you know, monetary supply. And so anyways, to give us a little breakdown, I wanted to back it up a little bit today for some of our listeners who may not have heard some of your previous interviews. By the way, you can see Jackson's previous interviews on our YouTube channel, Brandon Rhymes Realty. He really breaks it down into a lot of different ways. So if you're interested in that, there's a great resource there for you on our YouTube channel. But how does Bitcoin work?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And it's very important because a lot of people finally understand what it is, in the aspect that it's a digital currency. It's the first one that stemmed in that initial inception in 2008, and it just cracks the big problems of double spend and the counterfeits. And that's very big in the digital space. That's huge, right? But how does it work? A lot of people, they fall short there. So I want to touch on what the proof of work mechanism is. And essentially it uses the SHA 256 mechanism, and essentially that's a bunch of math problems that get solved by computers, and that computational power is expended in exchange for the Bitcoin you receive. And that's very complex, but that happened back in 2008, 2009, 2010, and Satoshi Nakamoto got the first Bitcoin rewards and sent the first transactions to Hal Finney. And those rewards were set at 50 Bitcoin per block. And that's 50 Bitcoin every single block. Every single block happens roughly every 10 minutes. Now, the crucial thing here is that after 210,000 blocks, the block reward, set at 50, is cut in half. And so that is known as the Bitcoin halving. That's happened now 4 times. It's went from 50 to 25, 25 to 12.5, 12.5 to 6.25. And currently in 2022, we're at 6.25. Next one will be 3.12. What is it? 6.25, so 3.125, and then 1.5625 after that, right?
Wow.
So that is the exponential regression that happens every single 4 years, roughly 210,000 blocks at roughly 4 years, right?
Wow.
That's very important because that becomes infinitely small. And the way that happens that in 2140, that is roughly when the Bitcoin supply, the new supply, will run out. And so it's a very big thing, and they mentioned it at the Bitcoin conference, like you said in 2022, just a couple days ago, that it's an inelastic supply. And that's very, very important because you can disengage that from the dollar and say that that is going to happen regardless of any policy, regardless of any government, that every 4 years that halving is going to happen and that supply will continue to reduce.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to play a quick clip here because that Miami conference was pretty interesting. Peter Thiel, I believe, was the keynote speaker, and he was calling out like the enemy number one, he said, was Warren Buffett, and just going on and on, Chase Manhattan, some of these big companies, because, if you look at what they've done over the years, I mean, just look at all the fines they've had, look at all the challenges they've done, look at all the people they ripped off. But just check out so this one's just a quick clip here from, I think this was Steve Bannon's podcast.
One of the great features of Bitcoin, and it's always a question whether it's a bug or a feature, but I would submit that in the sort of more heavy-handed statist world, it is far more of a feature than a bug, is that Bitcoin is not a company. It does not have a board. We do not know who Satoshi is. And in some ways, all these things seemed extreme in the world of the 2010s where, the inflation was low, the regulations were not the worst. And it seems extremely prescient for the world of the 2020s. And if we had to summarize this in one frame, it is the finance gerontocracy that runs the country through whatever silly virtue signaling / hate factory term like ESG they have.
So it gets into ESG, environmental, socio, and corporate governance. So your reaction to that clip?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a very big thing, and I think initially what you said I'll respond to for sure, that Bitcoin has had many, many enemies. And the biggest thing is that there is no board, there is nothing to back it, right? So the only people that are pushing forward through those enemies are the community and the users. And that's very, very big because it's the people that are actually using it on the daily basis that are going to get behind it and support it.
Right.
And those are the people that have supported it through every single recession, through every single downfall. And I say recession lightly because, if you want to consider standard recession 10%, that means every other week, right? So Those are the people that are continuing to push forward, and it's very big. And we talk about Warren Buffett and stuff. And I remember watching Warren Buffett on stage with Charlie Munger, and he gets asked a question about Bitcoin, and he says that it's terrible and that you should stay away from it and that you should look for things that are tangible, and you should look at the P&E ratios, and you should do all your standard and analyzing. And I'm not saying that that's bad. That's by no means bad. I do that as well, right? Yeah. But what you need to realize is that there's more to that. And Warren Buffett also says, and I think I've actually said this on the show before, that you need to invest in what you understand, right? Mm-hmm. And Warren Buffett, for that same reason, stayed away from technology.
Yeah.
And I think we all know that technology is doing very, very well, right? And so to simply write off something that you don't understand initially, and that you have not done that initial research for. And I'm not saying that Warren Buffett hasn't done research into Bitcoin. I'm sure he has. But to say that something so new is automatically bad because it's not what you're used to and what he has been doing for 50 plus years, I don't think that's the proper framework that you should look for when coming into investments.
Yeah, and he's a dinosaur in a sense, where he's in the good old boy system in a sense too. Janet Yellen, you think about Alan Greenspan, you think about these people that ran the Federal Reserve and just what he calls it a finance gerontocracy. It's a lot of corruption in DC. That
for sure,
and that's for sure. We're talking with Jackson Shembekar here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, cryptocurrency expert, NFTs, the Crypto Kid. He is his book as well. He's author of the Crypto Kid, and so what else you want to talk about? I mean, NFTs are a whole nother section of like what is an NFT?
For sure. Yeah, we can dive into NFTs right now. So NFTs, it's a non-fungible token. All that means it's a unique digital asset, and that's different than Bitcoin, Ethereum, other coins, because those digital assets are not unique. If I own a Bitcoin and you, Brandon, own a Bitcoin, we both own a Bitcoin. We could send that between each other. There's no difference. I could send that to Jonathan. I could send it to whoever, and Bitcoin is still the same Bitcoin, right? You could argue, and there used to be an argument, that Bitcoin that has been through corruption would be inherently less valuable, but over time and over this last decade, we've found that is just not true. Nobody really cares. Corruption is corruption in that sense. But with the blockchain and being that it's fully transparent, as long as you're not the corrupt one, there's no issues, right?
Okay.
And so in that same light, You have 1155 standard, the ERC 721 standard, all these different standards of coins. But NFTs, essentially, it's a unique digital asset, right? And so we've kind of sprungboard that onto a bunch of different things where people can create NFTs with different applications. And that's very big because we have the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which I've talked about on here. You have that, where it's the gold standard in the community. It has all these different utilities. But then you have other things where it's a club invitation to a concert. It is a private access to a restaurant in New York City. There are so many different applications. My book itself, I could have released it as an NFT. And I could have also had a subset of that book where maybe 10% allow a private interview with me in January of 2023. There are so many different things that you could bake into a smart contract, and that utility is something that I personally think is really limitless. And I think it's better than the standard contracts and the standard lawyers that we have right now because the process is so blocky, right? Mm-hmm. You have to, when someone violates a contract, you have to take them to court, you have to go through fees, a process dealing with the government, which is very slow and not great, right? Versus a smart contract, you can have application embedded into code, which autonomously will execute.
Wow.
And that's huge because that can happen very quickly.
What would trigger that execution?
It's very simple. It's an if-then statement, essentially.
Oh, if
right?
then.
So you're gonna look at it just as if it's computer code, right? And if something gets violated, if something goes wrong, the contract can shut down. The contract can close in escrow. It can lock up an amount, and amounts can go to the initial seller or buyer. There are so many different things you could do, and all of it can be automated, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's interesting. And then I don't know if you saw that Netflix documentary yet, but there was one about this guy that started I think it was some type of a crypto type coin in Canada.
Sure.
Did you hear about that guy? And then he faked his death, and then all these people were on the hook, and then his wife was like, so I think it started unraveling on him. I think he faked his death. I'm not sure, but
yeah, there's so many scams in this space, and I think beyond that, a lot of people are trying to imitate what Satoshi Nakamoto has done, right? Because a lot of people put Bitcoin on this big pedestal, and rightfully so, because of exactly what Peter Thiel was saying, that there's no big owner, there's no CEO, there's no board. And that is very, very key, because if the government were to create something right now, people would say, oh, the government's good or bad on this is the fault, this is why the government's doing it. Satoshi's still anonymous. No one knows who it is, no one knows why it was created, other than the fact that we wanted a more sound form of currency after 2008 because no one trusted the government.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people, I was talking to another one of my friends, does a lot of networking with some pretty high level folks out of Dallas, Texas. And they're, a lot of them are making a lot of money investing inside the Zuckerverse or Metaverse. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, they're, what they're doing. He was telling me, how it's working for them. And I'm like, okay, I'm still not in, but, keep telling me because I like to get perspective, right?
It's huge. It really is. And the metaverse keeps on expanding. And honestly, even myself, I have not spent hours and hours and hours in metaverse, but I still own that token Bored Ape, which is a figure and a gold standard in that space, right? And so I think that's very big, but we're going to continue to see improvement. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to fully say that everyone will be in the metaverse in 1 year or in 2 years or something. But I do think that a lot of people own NFTs and will have friends that are interacting in that. I think that we've, as millennials and Gen Z, on that younger side of things, we have grown up with the idea of an NFT, and people just don't realize it.
Right.
We've had that idea of digital currency. We've had that idea of video games and buying skins and jumping into something that is an alternative form of currency.
Right.
And that's big because it's gained status.
Yeah.
And I'm going to further this argument with the fact that people think that because it's digital, that it's not real and it doesn't matter. And I'm going to say that that's the opposite and it matters more. And bear with me. So I'm going to say an Instagram blue check. A lot of people would pay money for that.
Yeah.
And guess what? It doesn't exist. It's literally a blue check on a screen that means absolutely nothing. But people pay money for it. They give it status. If you go to a party and you have a blue check, well, there's a lot of access that goes to that blue check, right?
You're verified.
You're verified.
You're some type of a higher level of celebrity.
Exactly. And all it means is that you are who you are, really. When you look into the terms of the verification, it's just that you're a public figure. And so these Twitter, Instagram, they just want to verify that you are who you are so that other people don't get confused. That's all it means.
Right.
But there's status that goes with that. And then we could take something tangible. Let's say a trophy, a Super Bowl ring, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
If that's in your house and nobody's seeing it on a daily basis, what has more value?
Right.
The fact that that trophy or Super Bowl ring is on your Instagram profile and people know about it, or the fact that it's in your house?
Right.
And I would say the former. And that may be because I'm so young and I think that the internet is the future and everything, but it is. We all know that.
Yeah.
But if you really think about that thought experiment, the more things that are public and the more things that are on the internet and the things that people can see and interact with, that's better than it being tucked away in your house and tangible.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all about perception, right? You hear
Absolutely.
that term. It's reality's perception, perception's reality. And that's what it is in the real estate space. When I'm selling real estate, people are checking me out before I even show up to the house. I show up to list their property.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, I know. I checked you out. Yeah, cool. Just skip that. Let's talk about the terms, or what's my property worth,
Exactly.
They kind of, so it helps you kind of push that verification that of the old school, maybe 10, 15 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. You have to prove yourself a little bit more and check out this paper, handout or whatever. Now they're doing their research. They see my videos online. They see, the different profiles I have, etc. But yeah, that's the verification. All right, buddy, we're about out of time here. How do you want people to connect with you? You got your social handle and also maybe where they can find your book?
Yeah, you can find the book on Amazon and any bookstore nationwide. And the best way to connect with me is on Instagram. It's at Jackson Shembekar. That's JacksonShembekar. Jackson Shembekar. You got it.
On Instagram.
And the website at thecryptokid.com.
Website, thecryptokid.com. All right, Jackson, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Brandon.
Good stuff. All right, we're taking a quick break. When we come back, we got Mark Hay in the house. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening out there in the market, the stock market, and investment opportunities, life insurance, disability, long-term care, retirement, and estate planning here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Check us out online, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. Consumer Quarterback Show powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. We like to help you win in your real estate deals when you're buying, selling, or investing. And we got a hot property listing here in beautiful Tampa Bay, 4220 West Pearl. This is down south of Gandy. It's a commercial property. Great opportunity for self-employed, contractor, business owner. Check out 4220 West Pearl. This is over a half-acre lot, mixed-use corner lot with ample parking, and it's centrally located in beautiful South Tampa. That's Hillsborough County here, 4220 West Pearl Avenue in Tampa, one of our hot commercial listings. We got about 45 listings in total, and we would love to talk to you if you're buying, selling, or investing. You can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
All I've got's love for Love City.
All right, we got Mark Hay in the house. Mark, welcome in, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. 21st Century Financial Group, your corporate vice president, and you cover a lot of different topics: financial planning, life insurance, disability, long-term care, retirement, and estate planning.
Yes, sir. We actually cover everything you could possibly do as far as retirement planning, estate planning, business succession planning. You know, a lot of people are afraid or scared of what's going on right now out there with government. It could be markets, healthcare, Social Security. There's a lot of people that are scared to go into retirement because the market is at a longest bull run it's ever been.
Yep.
So we handle a lot of those concerns, but we also looking at it as a lot of opportunity for clients to take advantage of what could be happening moving forward.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I just was reading the all the emails I get, the systems I get popping up. 11.2% producer price index. Inflation's through the roof. Printing of money is at unprecedented levels. I imagine you're talking to a lot of people, and they're scared. They're concerned. They're just like, hey, this is kind of weird. A lot of unprecedented stuff happening.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly true. You covered a lot right there. I mean, it's hard to pick one thing, but one thing that people are afraid of is obviously interest rates, inflation, taxes. We know that on January 1st, 2026, our taxes are going to go up. The Trump tax is going to be no more. But anybody saw the Biden proposal 2 weeks ago? We're probably going to see a tax increase before then.
Wow.
So people are concerned about that. Our goal, retirement-wise, is to put people in a 0% tax bracket.
Right.
So we do that in 4 different avenues. So there's 4 different ways you can do it. You can do it via IRA, Social Security, Roth IRA, or even cash value life insurance. But we try to position people for a 0% because we think taxes are probably going to have to go up.
Right.
To combat all this spending that we've been doing for multiple years.
Yeah. So the simplified version of that is, hey, in your earning years, when you're in your, just for example, it could be different for people, but 40, 50, your 30s, you're making money, right? So the more that you can put away and then draw it out after 65 or 62, whatever number, and I think they can kind of tailor that, is the idea is you're saying, let's access that money at a zero taxable. That way it'll go further in your golden years, air quotes.
Yeah, so you're right. So the best way to make money last in retirement, or even just last in general, is eliminate taxes. One thing we tell people is 401k, we love the match. If you get a match at any kind of job, take the match, but don't do anything over because you're going to have to be required to spend that in retirement, called required minimum distribution. That being said, you should have some money in an IRA or 401k because you do get a $25,000 a year standard deduction. So if we can take out $25,000 from that taxable money of IRA, 401k, that would come out tax-free. The rest of it we can get from the Roth, cash value life insurance. We call it a SLRP, supplemental life insurance retirement plan. That's going to be tax-free, which means now you get your Social Security tax-free as well. So you have 4 streams of income coming in tax-free if you do it correctly. Most of the time people don't do it correctly because the government's not stupid and they put everybody into a 401k, IRA, 403b, 457, a pension, and they're going to tax you at the rate they want to tax you down the road, and then you pay tax on your Social Security as well.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting stuff, man. I tell you, it gets. I imagine for the average person, a lot of that is just so overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because you'll hear clients come in and they'll complain and say, "I'm paying more taxes in retirement than I did while I was working."
Yeah.
I don't understand. I was supposed to pay less. The problem is you have no deductions. Everything's paid off. You have no kids at the house anymore. And you're getting taxed on your IRA, 401k, you're getting taxed on your Social Security, and so it's eaten. Now all of a sudden we get to a point where the stock market's at an all-time high.
Yeah.
What do we do with our money now?
Right.
We can't absorb a 30, 40, 50% crash.
Right.
So how do you preserve it? So we ask a lot of questions. One being, if you could be rich or a guarantee you can never be poor, which one would you want to be?
Interesting.
A lot of times you're going to find the man is going to say, I want to be rich. Females tend to say, I want to guarantee that I'm never going to be poor.
Right.
I want that guaranteed stream of income.
Right.
I want security.
Yeah.
And so how do you provide it? There's multiple ways we can do it, but that's just the questions we ask.
Yeah, that's important to know. We're talking with Mark Hayes, an MBA here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, 21st Century Financial Group. He's the corporate vice president. He's also a fiduciary. We're almost out of time in this segment. When we roll over, I'd like for you, if you don't mind, explain what a fiduciary is and why it's important for people. And in short, it's similar to having an attorney represent you in court. That attorney is going to be held to the highest standard of defending you. Let's say if you were on the defense side, it's a fiduciary capacity. A lot of times in real estate, you talk about transaction broker versus single broker, but ultimately it's like having your interest in mind more so than theirs. So I'm going to have him define that a little bit when we come back. More with Mark Hay, financial planning, life insurance, disability, long-term care, retirement, and more here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, coming up just after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram, Twitter, Getter, and our YouTube channel as well. Subscribe. Brandon Rhymes Realty on YouTube. We'll be right back.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Five, four, three, two, one.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. Got a hot listing in Dade City, Platinum MVP team. Keller Williams Realty, 14121 7th Street in Dade City. You got a restaurant here available. This is a great opportunity. You also have a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. So you could have on-site management, have your manager live on-site. And this is an established restaurant since 1990, downtown Dade City, 2 dining rooms upstairs. You got an apartment as well. And the sale includes the furniture and equipment, and, of course, the real estate as well. 14121 7th Street, Dade City, plenty of parking, and this is in a cute kind of little metropolitan area, man. People walking up and down the streets and just enjoying that downtown feel at this beautiful restaurant here that we have for sale. Great investment opportunity. 14121 7th Street, Dade City, and you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got Mark Hay in the house, MBA. Also, congratulations, NAFA Top 4 Advisor under 40. That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure. And we were kind of talking before the break, what's the importance of a fiduciary? One of the books I read that kind of opened my eyes, two books, Money Master of the Game by Tony Robbins, and then Unshakable by Tony Robbins, kind of peeling back the onion a little bit, pulling back that veil a little bit and saying, what is a fiduciary? Why is it important?
Yep. Well, it's a good question. You want to work with an advisor that's obviously trusted. We want to work with an advisor that puts your needs first. So that's what we do here at our firm at 21st Century. And so we certainly want to meet your needs. Everybody has a different situation, a different plan, a different landscape of what they want to do in retirement or how they want to leave money. We want to keep it away from government hospitals and certainly want to keep away from long-term care facilities. So we want to be obviously trusted to do that for people because it's a very large responsibility for us to do for families.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Very important. Because if you're not a fiduciary, in other words, they're not doing that. They're not held to that standard, right? I mean, I know it from a real estate perspective. There was a real estate agent down, I believe it was in Sarasota. They took the offer that was better for them because they were double-ending the commission. But there was another offer that came in higher that, they were only going to make one side of the commission. So I think that agent got sued. So that's kind of a simple, version of that. But ultimately, when people are putting in money into a plan, year after year, compounding interest comes into play. I think the way Tony mentions it in his book is that it's basically like paying $30,000 for a Honda Accord or paying $300,000 for that same Honda Accord by the time you take into account that compounding of interest.
Exactly. I mean, Einstein said it best, that one of the best inventions ever is compounding interest.
Right.
So you definitely want to be in a vehicle that you can compound interest over time. It's just, how do you want to be taxed on the back end?
Right.
And so if you believe that taxes are going to go up, then we could work together in a very, very good way because we will get you to a 0% tax bracket in retirement. But if you don't think taxes are going to go up, you think they're going to go down, we may have a different opinion then, and we may not be able to work together.
Right. Yep.
I just don't see how we can spend the money we're spending, have $168 trillion of unfunded liability, whether it's Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid, and say that taxes are not going to go up.
Right.
There's only 3 ways you can do it. You can print more money, which is not going to work because inflation is going to continue to skyrocket.
Yeah.
You could cut, which our government never wants to cut anything, or you're going to raise taxes.
Right.
So the only thing that's going to happen is going to raise taxes. And I don't think it's going to be light. I think that it's going to be double. I think tax rate is going to be double.
Yeah.
Has to happen by 2030. We know it's going to happen by 2026. You're going to see an increase. But if you believe taxes are going to go up, then you certainly need to talk to us, because you need to start doing it now. We have 4 years that we know in this bracket.
And if you believe they're going down, like the old George Strait song, I got some ocean property in Arizona for you.
Exactly. I mean, if you really believe it's going down, then I got some swap land I could sell you
there
too.
You
know, so.
Okay, so Mark Hayes in the house talking about financial planning. Keeping the taxes down. Now you got a lot of charts and graphs here with you. What's your just overall thoughts in the market and where people are? I mean, it's confusing for a lot of people because it's unprecedented time. I kind of feel like we are heading for a recession. At least I listen. A lot of the podcasts I listen to, Steve Cortez, Peter Navarro. I mean, they're calling for a recession because now we've got inflation coupled with stagflation.
Yeah, you're all right. Now, I believe the same thing you believe. I don't think that the market can continue to soar the way it does. If you look at incomes from 1990, it was $55,000 a year was the average income. Today, it's $67,000. So you're looking at a $13,000 increase in incomes. That's 0.009% a year, and the stock market continues to soar. So the math is wrong.
Right.
You can't just have that kind of inflation in the market and have income not increasing. One big thing that people talk about is Social Security. There's 567 different ways to take Social Security, and it's illegal for any government to give you advice on that. So politicians, government authorities, local politicians, they're not going to fix this problem. It's going to be fixed either by financial advisors like ourselves and the people, and that's the only way it's going to get fixed.
Right.
It's just going to have to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's never too late. I think a lot of times people say, "Oh, well, I should have did this years ago." But people were out there thinking, "Wow, this sounds like interesting. Sounds like something I should do." By the way, reach out to the hotline. We'll put you in touch with Mark. 813-917-1894. Just call or text the hotline. 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com, of course. It's not too late, right?
It's never too late. And I tell people all the time, if you want to be in complete control of your assets, complete control of your money until you take your last breath, and you want to pass that down to your next generation and your grandkids, how do you want to do that? Otherwise, it's going to go to the government, nursing home, it's going to go to a hospital.
Yeah.
And then, you get clients telling me, well, my kids don't appreciate the value of money. And I agree with you. I think that generation doesn't appreciate the value of money. They go out and buy iPhones, they're not saving. But that being said, does the government appreciate your money?
Right.
There's a long-term care facility. They charge you $100,000 a year just to change a bed sheet.
Right.
Or you go to the hospital and you got to pay $500 for an aspirin. They're not appreciating value of your money.
Yeah.
But if we can show you a way where you can control your assets to the day you take your last breath, and we can pass that down to the next generation, maybe they can work with me, and we can show them the value of the money so they can afford health care or even retire.
Right. Absolutely. All right, my friend, that's about our time for today. How do you want people to connect with you? You got your social media out there or website?
Yeah, you can actually call or text 727-222-4550. That's 727-222-4550. We will get right back with you in a text message or answer the voicemails within 24 hours.
Excellent. And what's your website?
www.xxifinancial.com.
xxifinancial.com.
That is it.
All right, Mark, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, sir.
Great tips. Good stuff. All right, coming up, we're going to talk with Linda Ward. She is the president and CEO at Gulfside Healthcare Services, back on the program. And we also want to talk about the website as well, gulfsidehealthcare.org. So we're going to talk about that. More from our expert contributors. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to My Daddy's Show. For more information, go to ConsumerQB.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. Any of our listeners out there, we'll offer you a 2% listing for the first 3 callers that reach out to the hotline, 813-917-1894. Call or text the hotline, 813-917-1894. Also, a great opportunity for folks out there looking for a part-time gig, maybe a side hustle, is Keller Williams Real Estate School, powered by Kaplan. Reach out if you'd like more information on how we have a free real estate school for you, online class, get licensed, and start referring business in, or maybe make a new career. 813-917-1894, ConsumerQB.com for our syndicated radio and TV show on 80 outlets worldwide, ConsumerQB.com, or our real estate website at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com. That's PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com. And please follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram, Twitter, Getter, and check out our YouTube channel, Brandon Rhymes Realty. Make it a great day.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We love to help you win when you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Top 1% ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay. And we got a hot listing here in beautiful Tampa Bay. This property is in Carrollwood, actually 14626. This is Seminole, Florida. 14626 Loredon Drive. This is a beautiful property, $1 million listing of ours at Loredon Drive in Seminole. And the major aspect of this home is that you're on a peninsula, so you got like a 180-degree view of the intercoastal waterway. You got a private boat dock, bay access, take your boat out to dinner and lunch, and just enjoy the best of Florida living. 2-bedroom, you got double master suite layout, 2 bedrooms, 3 bath, 1,330 square feet. 14626 Loredon Drive, number 14 in Seminole, and you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got Linda in the house. Linda Ward, that is, President and CEO of Gulfside Healthcare, and there's a National Healthcare Decisions Day. This is coming up, and it's an interesting thing because when you think about these decisions, it's important decisions, and I don't think a lot of people put as much time and effort as they should into those.
That is such a good point, and nice to see you, Brandon. Always
Likewise.
Wonderful being on your show.
Thank you.
Yes, National Healthcare Decisions day and month, and the recognition of that is throughout the country. And it's so important because, like you said, you could be our age, think nothing's going to happen to us, but if something were to happen, what would you want, and who would you pick to make your decisions and all of those things. So really, having this healthcare decisions at the helm of your thought, it helps you make those advanced care plans before something were to happen. The day and the recognition inspires, it educates, it empowers you to be in control, so that if something were to happen, you were to become incapacitated, who would you choose to be your proxy, your surrogate, and what would you want and not want? So that's really important, and I have some resources I'll tell you a little bit about as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important. I remember when I sat down to do my estate planning, and they ask you the different questions, and when it comes up to the topic of advanced medical directive, it's like, okay, you start thinking about Terry Schiavo, the poor girl that was incapacitated. I don't remember too many details on it, but it was 10 or 12, 15 years ago maybe.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it came down to what did she have in writing, and then because I think it was her husband and then the family member, the mom and the dad, saying two different completely opposite things, and it's like, okay, well, the courts are going to look at what's in writing. Right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And if you don't have something documented, and you don't have a healthcare surrogate or a proxy or a living will or a durable power of attorney for healthcare, those that would be legally considered your next of kin can make any decisions for you. And it might not be the decision that you really would like.
Right, exactly. And so let's talk about that. So Gulfside Healthcare Services does offer the community help with these decisions as far as advanced care planning.
We do. We host seminars, webinars. We have a webinar coming up in May. We haven't set the date yet. I think it's going to be the 28th, but I'll let you know. We do consultation. This 5 Wishes, we offer this to a lot of our referral sources, and
cool.
I have some for your studio here, and basically this is a really nice piece of information to just have discussions with with those who you love and think about yourself, and it's just a easy way to think about who would be the person in my life that could make decisions for me when I can't. the kind of medical treatment I want, how comfortable do I want to be. And like I took my mother through this about 5 years before she passed away, and she really appreciated it, because if we had not done this, we would not have been able to really just be her surrogate. So we provide this to a lot of our patients we serve, caregivers, family members, and this is something that our elder law attorneys help us with when we do webinars and seminars, and they educate along with, what do you think about when it's a living will, and what do you want to put in there. So this is a great resource, and you can get these online as well at info@gulfside.org.
Gulfside.org. Yeah, this is great. So it just kind of walks you through all those important decisions.
Yeah.
It says close to death. Here's check this box, that one or that one. In coma and not expected to recover. Here's what I want. Permanent and severe brain damage. Yeah, I mean, this is great. This is wonderful.
Yeah, it might not be easy to think about, but it's important. And the other thing is that when you do a durable power of attorney for healthcare or a healthcare surrogate, you don't have to have it notarized. You don't have to have an attorney do it. As long as you have this document, it will suffice in a healthcare system. So that's something else that we educate people on. So there are events held across the country during National Healthcare Decisions Day.
Yeah, that's great. So we're talking with Linda Ward here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and she is the president and CEO of Gulfside, Gulfside Healthcare Services, hospice, palliative care, home health care. So you got your three main pillars there. You also have your awesome shops out there that people can get involved, because you are a nonprofit organization.
We are. We're a 501c3. We have about 1,000 patients a day, which brings in a large amount of revenue per year, but any surplus we have, they call it surplus in the nonprofit world, we can put back into, higher paid staff, better compensation, new programs that we're not reimbursed for. So it really is it's a healthcare system, but yet we don't have the shareholders in the stock market to worry about. I've done that, plenty of years, and it's just a really nice thing to do from a fundraising opportunity. And our thrift shops, they really are part of our fundraising arm.
Yeah, the thrift shops are cool. People, it's kind of a trendy thing, People like to go in there and do some thrifting, and some people have niches too. They'll go in and look at certain knives and sell them online and say, hey, I got it for 50 cents or $1.50, whatever, and then they'll sell it online. They can find different things. People love going thrift shopping.
They do, and as a matter of fact, we have 5 thrift shops, and each of them has their niche. So one of our shops has a bridal boutique, and it does incredibly well. We get lots of new dresses, one-time used dresses, and so we have a corner, and it's for brides that get beautiful dresses, don't have to spend the money.
Yeah.
One shop is almost all furniture, because that's where the consumers really look to get their furniture. We have all kinds of a lot of things that sell our clothing. So, and then we have teen programs and a lot of teen volunteers that they're really trendy. You talk about. The clothes that I wear would be considered vintage to them or something, but they create these areas where teenagers who can't afford a lot of clothing goes in and, for a couple bucks, they make a really cool outfit that it's a one of a kind. Nobody has it. So those kinds of things happen at our shop.
That's great. And where are those located in case our listeners want to support?
Right now, they're all in Pasco County, although we're looking for space in Pinellas. But we have a shop in Zephyr Hills, Dade City, Newport Richey, Land O'Lakes, and Hudson.
Cool. Awesome. So, nonprofit organization, Gulfside Healthcare Services, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. And you got hospice, palliative care, home health care. Those are your 3 core pieces of the company. Yeah, services. Yep. So that's great. Yeah. So you want to go through and explain kind of what each one does?
Sure. And we've got a lot to tell you in each of those areas.
Yeah, so hospice, let's start with that one.
Okay, so hospice is for patients that have a late to end stage illness. It doesn't mean that, you're going to die today. But the best thing about hospice care, if you do have a late stage illness, the best thing is to at least think about hospice care, because all of the services, the supplies, the equipment, the medications are covered, and it's really a lot of support for families and caregivers. We are purchasing 4 acres of land in West Pasco to build our second 24-bed inpatient care center. So that's really exciting.
Congrats.
So that's going on.
That's
home
awesome.
health, we just had our ribbon cutting this morning and grand opening at our Pinellas home health office.
Cool.
We're up to about 250 home health patients again at this point. And Pinellas County has just embraced us. We met with the EDC and the chamber, and we had about 60 people there this morning for our opening, and then we'll be moving into Hillsborough County in early 2023.
Nice.
And then palliative care is expanding throughout the whole Tampa Bay market. Since COVID, we are only doing telehealth visits, and families love it, and patients and caregivers, and they're receiving assistance with pain and symptom control. It's not terminal illness. It is really just chronically ill, being able to talk to a physician or a nurse practitioner and get assistance with pain. And
So
symptoms.
palliative care, that's what I was going to ask you. That's more just, is that the person that may have had an auto accident or those types of issues?
Yeah. Anyone, any age, chronic illness, needing assistance with pain and symptom control.
Yeah. So you got hospice, home health care, and palliative care. And yeah, it's a great. So you're supporting the community. You're out there helping people, because I think that's again another, scary space. People don't understand, their health decisions. Going into, especially when you get into the insurance side, PPO, HMO, all those different things. There's so many acronyms. People get so confused.
Yes, and when your prior guest was just talking earlier about estate planning, that's so important.
Yeah.
Because preparing for later in life, regardless of whether you have any healthcare issues, your money you want your money to last. You want to have a quality of life. You want to be able to be in a beautiful environment and not have to worry about being on Medicaid or what have you. So a lot of our team, our social workers and psychosocial assistants and staff members work with family members to help their loved ones from a financial perspective navigate the healthcare system.
Right.
It is complex.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So when people utilize your services, are they able to use their health care or their
their insurance? Yeah, it's most of our patients either have Medicare or commercial insurance, Medicare managed care. But another nice thing about being a nonprofit is we don't turn anybody away for inability to pay.
Oh, okay.
If there's someone without insurance, we're going to cover the cost of their health care, and it might cost up to $1,500 a day. Again, that's what fundraising does. That's what our thrift shops do.
Yeah.
And, most people have some kind of insurance, but we still may get reimbursed a portion of what it takes to care for our patients. So.
Right. Wow, that's great. You guys are doing good work out there, because I think that's a and sometimes you think about that too. As far as people that can't pay, they go into the ER, and then how does that happen? That I guess that just trickles back into the taxpayers at some point, right?
Exactly. So the key to our services is to keep people where they love to be, where they want to be, for the remainder of their life, and the quality of their own home. And our services come to you, provide what's needed.
Yeah, and you also have chaplain services. That's been really cool to visit with some of the chaplains, because I think that's such a key part too, especially end of life. People are kind of, they're thinking, wow, I'm actually here. This is on me. I've thought about death so many times, and then to have a chaplain to be able to be there, that's a great service.
Yes, and it's non-denominational. It's just anything that makes someone feel better. Some people don't want a chaplain, and some people just really do. Some people want to really be hooked up with their religious preference, but for the most part, our chaplains are just there to listen and assist, and they love being on your show, by the way.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. We love having them. And then you've also helped a lot of veterans over the years too.
Yes. We have a program that is in conjunction with the National Home Care Association, National Hospice Association, and we do veterans pinnings for everybody that is, anyone that's in any branch of the military. And we are now expanding out our program to first responders and the community.
Nice.
So it's really, really great recognizing those people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, that's, hey, there's a lot going on there, and Gulfside Healthcare Services right here in Tampa Bay. So if anybody is in that position, if you have somebody that's looking at this hospice situation, maybe end of life situation, or maybe they had some type of an accident, home health care would be, great, palliative care, and also thrift shops. So people can get involved a lot of different ways, volunteers and
Yes. A lot of times family members, in particular spouses that have lost their loved one, it might not be right away, but in time we hear from a large majority that want to work in our thrift shop or want to volunteer in the office. They donate, goods and products to the thrift shops, and then they think about, I could be a cashier, or I could maybe help in the back room.
So volunteer, give back.
Yes.
Way to give back. Awesome. Yeah, complete that circle.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Good stuff. Linda, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thanks
Thank you for having me again.
My pleasure. All right, GulfsideHealthcare.org. Check them out online, GulfsideHealthcare.org. And another great show today. We had Jackson Shembekar talking about cryptocurrency. Mark Hay as well, 21st Century Financial Group. And we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.